Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. A quick update to a rather serious situation going on in Ecuador. And we want to thank our patrons.
We want to say a huge thank you to Kristen, Claudia, and John. Hi, John.
Thank you guys so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. Over here, we see the president of Ecuador, Daniel Noboa, has announced a state of emergency and declaration of martial law across the entirety of the country due to the existence of an internal armed conflict, which requires the mobilization of the armed forces and the national police to retake the country from several criminal groups, which have now been deemed as terrorist organizations operating against the state. This happens with the disappearance of a high-level cartel head, and you got just abject chaos going on there right now. I just want to remind everybody, when we talk about the cartels, they are in our country. They are in our country. They've been in our country a long time, but there's probably more that are here in the U.S. now than ever before. This was the case of a border rancher now charged with murder because the cartel showed up on his land. He's 75 years old and his wife is very sick. They shot at him. He returned fire. He did hit one. And so, he has been basically arrested and charged. It's a crazy world that we live in. Absolutely crazy. And when we look at what's going on, it's so obvious, as you see this is from Congressman William Timmons. Last year in the Del Rio sector, hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants paid the cartels an estimated $1.6 billion to illegally enter our country. It goes on and on with the cartels and with Mr. Poopy Pants. It's just a ridiculous situation. But what's going on in Ecuador is really, for the average person, absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I paused all these because while watching some, there's some there that are just brutal, including executions, or what appear to be executions, as again, in this world, you can never tell what's, real and what's an illusion. And I do think, again, there are people losing their lives here. Yet at the same time, when we looked to China at the outbreak of the plague upon the land, there were people dropping left and right. And, again, we understand the bigger picture now. Many of us, all you guys do, I'm sure, understand the bigger picture there. But here you have the military rushing in. It's just absolute chaos. And you wouldn't want to be in the middle of this type of chaos. Yet, you got to realize this could be us in a matter of days, weeks, or months. If, the power structure has their plans come to fruition. As you see, this is the kind of cartel violence that we'll soon be seeing here in the U.S., as you have people begging for their lives, taken hostage. This is a news station taken hostage. And so they have this emergency declared as a drug kingpin vanished from prison. Huge manhunt underway for Adolfo Macias of Los Choneros. He disappeared from cell, guards taken hostage amid prison riots. Not only that, but apparently guards executed in multiple places. There are people that have been obviously hurt. There's video footage that I'm not rolling, just showing people that have bloody clothing on. They've obviously been hurt. They're running around definitely in terror, and they're afraid for their lives. And so we send our prayers to them and everyone. This was so reminiscent of the scenes that we saw with like ISIS and ISIL. You have people using guns to apparently execute guards in prison, and then others using big butcher knives to do the same. This was a case of a woman rushing with a blood-stained shirt to safety. As it see this tweet right here, World Source News 24/7. More than 50 students reportedly murdered. Now, it's chaotic, absolutely. They say that the police arrested all the gunmen who stormed the Ecuador TV studio, but there were multiple locations, and again, apparently multiple executions. This is the president of Ecuador, a very, very young, 35-year-old, recently elected president. And I was looking at him and I was curious. Daniel Noboa, again, he's vowed to fight back and decline negotiations. Ecuador has declared a state of emergency in the country, implemented a curfew. Yeah, it's martial law. Restricted freedom of assembly, acknowledged the presence of an internal armed conflict. Internal armed conflict. Does that not take you back to the Obama movie? Yes. And when you look at him, I mean, it's almost like this guy's the president, or is he an actor? For one, I mean, he's young, youthful, good looking, looks like he'd be a perfect actor. But again, that's what presidents are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're looking at this, and I have such issue with it because I know it's extremely choreographed, yet it's not like they're using, fake bullets. They're still doing this very much on purpose. Everything that they do, I mean, to allow some of the stuff we've seen on the internet, I mean, that's very deliberate. So this is another, it's staged, but it's not staged. And I don't want people to misunderstand that. I do feel people are definitely getting hurt and killed. But the reason behind it all, I mean, these ones that are in power, they're the ones who are opening the gates. They're the ones who are holding the keys. They're the ones who are providing the funds. They're the ones who are writing the script. And then they just turn people loose and they fulfill what these guys set up. It's just so disgusting.
It is, and I mean, just sorry, but this is the impression that he feels very fake. He feels exactly like another actor on the world stage. It could not be any more choreographed. He's born in 1987. Interestingly enough, he's born where? Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida? Yeah. Now, it's interesting that he announced his candidacy in May of 2023 for president. Now, he was raised in Ecuador, but he was born in Miami. And he announced his candidacy for president in 2023 snap election, running on the National Democratic Action ticket. He advanced to runoff election in October, facing Luisa Gonzalez, which many interpreted as an upset given his low polling numbers in the days leading up to the election. He would go on to win nearly 52% of the vote in a runoff. This October. So he's the second youngest democratically elected serving state leader in the world, after Gabriel Attal of France. Very curious, very, very curious. Again, born in Miami, Florida, raised in Guayaquil. He is the son of a businessman and a physician. Now, he went to New York University Stern School of Business, degree in business administration, master's of business, then went through Harvard, and also went to George Washington University and attained a master's in political communication, strategic governance. In other words, what do I feel with him? Illuminati, absolutely. He is definitely one of them. You just can't get away from it. The energy is there, so you have to kind of call it for what you see. And this is a picture of him and his wife is a social media influencer. Again, if you're scripting a movie, yeah, they cast this really well. Yeah. Maybe it's not so believable. They're both too young and beautiful, but, hey, it's a movie. It is a movie, but people lose their lives. This is the reality. Yes. And I do think there is a foreshadowing here. And Sassy agrees. She is growling, and that 12 pounds of terror is ready for action. I gotta tell you, this feels to me like a foreshadowing of events to occur not just in the U.S., but in other nations in the future. Think about that. If the cartels took action inside of the U.S. for any old reason, it wouldn't really be an act of war. And then again, there's tens of millions of illegal migrants, which there are hundreds of thousands of soldiers amongst them. We know that. Chinese, Russian, Venezuelan, Nicaraguan, Cuban, probably a lot from countries that have been impacted in a very negative way by the U.S. and NATO, such as Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan. Lots of countries with lots of people that have a lot of hatred towards the U.S. So you wouldn't even need, and this is part of what I really think is their plan, you don't need any sort of official declarations of war before you have havoc going on in the U.S. with situations like this, and in the other NATO nations, in the UK, over in Ireland, absolutely. We already see chaos in so many of the Nordic countries as well. Meanwhile, here you have irregular activity going on, multiple reports of uncrewed aerial systems, drones of some sort. And again, this is that area, the Red Sea and going around down by Yemen, vessels on the alert. You have Sweden telling its citizens, brace for war. Defense leaders have urged citizens to consider their preparedness for a potential conflict with Russia. So, it's pretty obvious what they're still anticipating initiating in this coming year. And yet, when we talked about briefly that episode in New York City with the tunnels under, that religious building, exactly what's been on the mouths of many people talking about that island character, that's no longer with us, but maybe he really is still with us, E.P. Stein. Yeah, Steenstein. Yeah, it feels like the same sort of thing was going on there. There's just, it's a very dark draconian energy that we see there. And the light is shining. The people are wakening up, but we need to do as much as we can to wake up the masses to the madness before they take it to another level, because again, that's exactly what they will do. And they have everything in place to kick off chaos. And it's just a matter of when they do kick it off. So it's a race to awaken as many as possible and divert as much chaos as possible.
And love on your babies.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about Zen? Look at him. He is in a Zen spot right there. You don't stop.
Indeed.
Stay prepared, guys. Much love and gratitude. Thank you for being with us on this ride. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.